The deal was that I show up every night. And it's like 29 minutes past 11 o'clock at night on a Sunday night. Oh, yes, I've had that glass of wine on board as well. With my dinner, I have to make clear. Will it affect my reading again tonight? I don't think so, boys and girls. I think I'm okay. I'm on the right side of sobriety. So we're up to chapter 19, which means we've like another 4 to go, and then we're finito. I hope everything is good in your corner of the world and in your life. Remember the comments below. It would be lovely to hear from the person or two that follows this. If you want to hear me, though, and see what I'm like with a really big audience, check out Fact Feast on YouTube. It's a historical channel, and I don't own it, but I narrate it, and it's hugely popular. It's like 110,000 subscribers at the moment, and often within the first hour or two there is, if not 700, there's 1,200, sometimes 2,000, sometimes 5,000 people tune in. Enough advertising. You know where I am if you need me. Nobody does. It's what are we? XIX. What's that Roman numerals? Chapter 19. The house with a home inside it. In Berkeley Square stands the House of Miracles. Few who pass that grave, beautiful building know that inside its walls history is being made. Massive with destiny, dappled with sunshine and shadow through the foliage of the giant plane trees, brackets, their luxuriant growth attributed by tradition to the fact that they are rooted in an ancient plague pit. It gazes from the past into the future across the bustle and commotion of today's one-way traffic in the square. It was the home of one of the most successful imperialists of all time. Clive of India bought it when he returned in triumph as Victor of Plassey. The purple and panoply of human greatness were heavy upon him. He decorated his new house with glittering ceilings, doors made from Brazil wood, which he shipped from the East, and stone fireplaces, which still give expression to the inspired quality of the mind that conceived and the hands that moulded them. But what did all his wealth achieve? Hounded by critics who resented his success both as conqueror and reformer, dulled by the drugs he took in increasing doses to ease the pain of his diseased frame, he went upstairs one winter afternoon in 1774. His family heard his footsteps pacing up and down. Up and down. Suddenly there was a thud. They rushed in and found the great man dead upon the floor. Some say he cut his throat, others that he hanged himself, others that he died from an overdose of opium, which he took in large quantities to numb his sufferings. But we shall never know the truth. His family said nothing. They smuggled his body away at night and buried it beneath a plain stone in the country. For nearly 200 years, Clive's descendants lived in that stately home in Berkeley Square. Many strange and adventurous happenings took place there. Behind its impassive walls, kings, statesmen, fighting men, and beautiful ladies intrigued, gossiped, dined, danced, did business, settled the affairs of nations, loved, wept, and laughed. From a green-panelled room on the ground floor, the card players arose in angry one winter night, and in the corridor swords were drawn, and honour satisfied with a deadly thrust and a still figure carried secretly away. A few years ago, the ownership of this house changed hands. It was up for sale, and from many parts of the world men and women who had seen the march of the moral rearmament and recognized its destiny as a growing force in world affairs sent gifts to make Clive's historic house available as the headquarters of the work in Britain. What goes on inside the house today? It has lost none of its beauty, but the thing which catches your breath as you enter is the warmth and spirit of the place. It is a house with a home inside it, a place where thousands of hearts move out to welcome you as you cross the threshold, and where suddenly all the best ideals of your life, tarnished or perhaps forgotten in the rough and tumble of the years, take on a new lustre and seem worth fighting for again. Today, Clive's home is the nerve centre of a new world order. Today, I first went there during the Blitz, and I found the cellars where Clive of India stored his beer, sherry, port, and champagne put to a new use, neatly whitewashed, equipped with double-decker bunks. They were the dormitories, dining rooms, and offices of the most remarkable cross-section of the nation I ever had met. 2 champagne cellars were named the House of Lords and the House of Commons respectively, because members of these assemblies were accustomed to sleep there night by night. I found servicemen and women passing through London who came to this home to equip themselves with a fighting faith to carry them into battle. There were trade unionists and industrialists, newspaper men and teachers. Several families blitzed out of homes in the East End, admirals, generals, city workers. It was a constantly shifting multitude, yet all felt at home, for it is a quality of Clive's house that it provides a setting in which people of every class and condition meet together without embarrassment. A cabinet minister and a cabman can sit down together in the same room and neither of them feel out of water. I have seen this very thing happen there. In the kitchens, where the old spits equipped to roast whole animals still hang, meals are cooked on modern stoves and served for the hundreds of people who pass through Clive's house daily. As you can imagine, the wash-up is quite a business. It is an amazing thing, in this day and age, to see every evening mixed squads of male volunteers who have done a hard day's work in factory and office turn up, roll their sleeves, and tackle the kitchen and scullery wash. Did any of you ever have a scullery? No? I had a scullery. You're probably saying I had a skinful, but I had a scullery in this old barracks I grew up in, an old British Army barracks. We had a scullery, kitchen, and... Okay. You know where I am if you want to talk. All work wholeheartedly together. Big businessmen alongside clergymen, shop stewards, bankers, bakers, servicemen, labour officials, and fellows from the factory bench. And they teach each other plenty as they give their contribution, this contribution. Housewives from every part of London give up a day a week from their own homes to contribute to the household duties at Berkeley Square. The advance of the work is only made possible in wartime by the passion and selfless service of these hundreds of ordinary men and women. It is a tragedy to see requests come in for help from industry, from the mines, from civic and educational authorities, requests which have to be refused. For the trained, whole-time personnel of MRA, possibly the only people in the country with the experience to bring cure to situations which cost Britain tens of thousands of man-hours and many men's lives, are engaged in other forms of national service. scattered in response to the clamour of bigots and the zeal of venomous men who hate and fear all that MRA fights to establish. Nevertheless, the story of MRA in wartime is a miracle of advance. From every part of Britain, and from men and women the world over who owe remade lives and homes to the new spirit, come letters, parcels, and contributions towards the material provision of the headquarters in Berkeley Square. The pioneers of moral rearmament themselves have little money, but they have faith in the world they want to see, confidence in each other to share fully, holding nothing back, and a reliance on divine providence. These men and women hold all things in common, and believe that God will supply their material needs, if they are guided by Him. They put this age-old truth to the test, and it bears the proof of up-to-date experience. The place where Clive fell dead is now the sleeping quarters of a bunch of young airmen. In the corridors where the duel ended fatally, food is now served from hot plates to guests in the rooms alongside. The drawing room where Clive received his guests, where generations of his descendants entertained their friends, where King George V of England was welcomed, is now a private theatre. In the last years and months I have seen leaders from every walk of national life and men at the head of the Allied governments sitting in that place, and they have been given fresh hope and inspiration there. The rooms of Clive's house are scenes of constant miracles and adventure. Day by day from every part of the country men come there with unsolved problems. Sometimes these problems affect their home life. Sometimes they affect their industries. Sometimes those who come have problems of statesmanship to be settled. For many great men make their way, like Nicodemus, secretly to the place where they know an answer lies. They go away with fresh hope, with a solution to their problems offered to them, and with a certainty that their confidences are unbroken. As you pass from room to room in the House of Miracles, each place offers fresh surprises. I have seen men and women whose bodies and lives have been wrecked by years of strain and suffering receive new health and peace of heart in Berkeley Square. You will find representatives from every section of some industry, management, labour and government, sitting round a table to talk out their difficulties man to man, in a spirit of openness and honesty together, and unitedly discover an answer. You will find groups of people planning to carry this new philosophy, sprung from age-old truth, to the millions and the leaders of the nation. So many scenes to touch the heart crowd in upon my memory as I think of the last 2 years in Clive's house. I remember soldiers, sailors, and airmen who prayed with me and with others before they said goodbye and may never come back again. I remember the night the miners arrived. They were the representatives of the men. They had come to London for a conference to settle the future of the industry. These were difficult days, and the hands of the press and the people were against them. They came crowding through the front door with the burr of Northumberland, the sing-song of South Wales, the rolling consonants of Scotland, and the broad vowels of Yorkshire in their voices. That night they caught a glimpse of the part they were meant to play in building a new world order. The spirit here would solve every problem of the pits, said the leader of 100,000 men. And later we heard how many dark situations were illuminated by the vision these men took away with them. We had the coal miners too, some of them with granite faces and, it had to be said, granite hearts. But somehow, as the evening wore on, Eyes twinkled, hearts warmed, and granite melted. You saw them. You saw then what industry could become if men of goodwill on both sides of it started to fight together for a great program of national service, instead of fighting each other for sectional interest. I remember during the Empire Conference when prime ministers and their wives, representatives of many of the I remember during the Empire Conference when prime ministers and their wives, representatives of many of the dominions and colonies, accustomed to command and to be obeyed, were given by ordinary men speaking of their everyday experience a new picture of what a commonwealth of nations should be. How a sound family of nations begin with nations of sound families, and how they went away with their heads higher and with their shoulders set in an attitude of hope. Best of all, I remember Christmas evenings when the secret and spirit of the whole place is made plain. In the large entrance hall, where Clive piled his teak trunks and packages of treasure on arrival from the east, a huge Christmas tree stands. One year it was given by friends among the workers at Covent Garden. The tree is candle-lit. From its topmost branch a silver star looks down. Underneath the branches, in the straw-thatched crib, the child lies by his mother's knee in the warm candle glow. Around them are the admiring shepherds, the wise men with their gifts, and thronging the hall, lining the great staircase, hushed, breathless with wonder and love, the crowd stands. There are families from the dockland of the Thames and from Mayfair. There are statesmen and servants. There are labour leaders and industrialists, bosses and workers, and there are scores and scores of children. Presently, soft and beautiful, from the minstrel gallery high above, where the violins and sackbuts played vainly to soothe the anguish of Clive's heart, steals the old carol. O little town of Bethlehem, how still we see thee lie! Above thy deep and dreamless sleep the silent stars go by. Yet in thy dark streets shineth the everlasting light. The hopes and fears of all the years are met in thee tonight. The crowd squats on the floor and joins in other favourites. Noel, come all ye faithful, and still the night. The shadows from the candles leap and flicker on the wall. They dance across the intent and eager faces, the faces of men, women and children, from all classes of life and from all sections of the nation, warmed and united by the fire of the greatest idea ever given to mankind. They are like-minded, and the future is theirs, a symbol and a sample of the new world to be. The air is peopled with memories of the past and promise for the future. On such a night as this, a new friend, visiting Clive's house for the first time, looked long into the centre of light and murmured, "Is that what Christianity means? I never knew." Good night from Dublin in Ireland at 11:48 p.m. on the 8th of October, the year of our Lord, 2023. Are you good? Is your cerebral cortex functioning? What's going on in your life? I'd love to hear from you, but I won't. So, Good night, one and all. Peace be with you.